On here on News Desk. Now, the World Environment Day is the United Nations principal vehicle for encouraging worldwide awareness and action for the environment, and is marked on the 5th of June every other year. Over the years, it has grown to be a broad global platform for public outreach that is widely celebrated by stakeholders in over 100 countries. Now, it also serves as a People's Day for doing something positive for the environment. You can tell me what you're doing for the environment today. Perhaps you can choose not to litter today. I mean, solid or any other form of waste. Try not to litter today. Now, this year's global theme released by UNEP to guide activities is dubbed Small Islands Development States. And the slogan is Raise Your Voice, Not the Sea Level. Now, here in Ghana, we've also adopted our own slogan, which is Green Our Environment to Save Ghana. No, that's the theme for the celebration. And the slogan is Raise Your Voice, Grow a Tree to Green Our Environment. Let's get into discussions around this. You know, there are a lot of environmental issues here in the country. And we'll talk about this because the big day, WED, is tomorrow. And we want to know what's going on for us here. Anjali Tutua Mensah is Chief Programs Officer in charge of Public Affairs with the Environmental Protection Agency. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you, Joy News, for giving us the platform to share ideas on World Environment Day. So,
World Environment Day, Ghana is marking it, and people are, I am thinking, is it worth it? Look at our environment. Year after year we celebrate, nothing changes.
Yes, I think it's worth it because it calls attention to our attitude towards the environment. We cannot sleep because people are not doing the right thing. It's like having a child at home. No matter how stubborn the child is, you keep on prodding, advising. And so this is what the Environmental Protection Agency seeks to do on this day and the days ahead. As you mentioned, the global theme is focusing on small island states. And these are states that are dotted all over the world. There are 51 nations, and they have peculiar issues, though they have geographical and cultural diversity. But the commonality of these states is because they are small island states. They are below sea level. When we say below sea level, let's take a description of your toddler or your baby, and you filled a bathtub. That is basically the common language. If you put that baby into the bathtub, the baby will submerge. And so this is the predicament of the small island states. And they don't have enough natural resources because they are surrounded by sea. Their major occupation is the coral reefs, and they are hit by all manner of natural disasters, cyclones, hurricanes, name it, typhoons.
And so that's why the global theme, like you mentioned, raise your voice, not the sea level. Here in Ghana, how are we contributing to the rising sea levels?
Yes, indeed we are, because we have coastal lines as well. For example, Kita is being inundated by erosion. But a study was conducted by lecturers in the University of Ghana, Legon, and they are telling us that Dansman area, Glife, and some communities, if there's any rise in sea level, they will submerge. Now, let's take our shoreline coming from the western region. We have a place called Awewim Swami. They are in the belly of disaster. Anytime there's rain, the whole area flood, they lose their livelihood. Now, let me give you a very worst scenario. If there's any sea level rise, our castles will be inundated. The hospitals, the beautiful buildings we have dotted along the shorelines, Effiong Kwanta Hospital in Tibetan, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, our universities, the Cape Coast schools, which is famous for, or has been famous for several years, they will all submerge. And therefore, we are also part of it. We cannot say because of small islands, Ghana cannot be affected. We can be impacted on. A study conducted by EPA in 2005 indicated that even our castle, where it used to be the seat of government, if we do not take care, the sea level rise can actually get rid of it. And remember, we've buried our former president at Tamil's Adasumudre Park. That also may be impacted on if we do not take caution.
I'm starting to get a very wild picture because, I mean, you've mentioned from the sea as far as the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. And I'm thinking, describe to us what you mean by a rise in sea level.
Rise in sea level, as I mentioned, is like having my height, okay, and I have a water tank. Water tank is about 5 meters. If you fill it with water, and I get into it, I'm about 1 meter plus, 1.2 meters. And so I am below sea level, or I'm below the water level in the water tank.
Okay.
So when I get into it, I just submerge and then the water rises. So basically,
how long
that is
before
it.
we get there?
Well, according to the studies conducted by doctors Ado and Adeyemi, they are saying that 2100, okay? Yes. So basically, we have about 7 years. Yes, we have about 7 years to go if we are not very careful.
2100?
2100, yes.
And it's 2014 now.
2014,
so
yes.
We have well over, you know, it's about 100 years difference. So,
yes.
Wow. But it all starts now. What are some of the things that we do that contribute to this climate change?
Several things. Our consumption patterns, the way we build our houses. The novelty now is glass houses. Now these glass houses will be taken in air conditioners, and the air conditioners generate energy. Energy, you need to power it with fuel. The major cause of climate change is transport and power plant, because they generate a lot of carbon dioxide. Unfortunately for us, what we call sink, which takes in the carbon dioxide, that is trees and mangroves, we are also really depleting it very fast. Look at our wetlands. Look at the mangroves that we have in Ghana. Now, if we have to go back to the pristine stage, so now, we don't have anything to actually absorb the carbon. So basically, it's our lifestyle, our attitude, the way we want to buy more shoes. I mean, we women, look at us.
Shoes are beautiful.
Oh, I tell you, but then, it's contributing because there's a factory that is manufacturing that. Well, it all started during the Industrial Revolution when coal was used to power our industries. And so scientists have found that this is the cause. What can we do? In some of the discussions at the Conference of Parties in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the last but one was held in Doha, Qatar, and they decided to actually look into a concept called loss and damage, where African countries and developing countries wanted finance to be able to cope and adapt to the changes in the climate. But small island states asked for a plan, a technological advancement to mitigate against energy that is being used, that is creating this climate change in our environment. And therefore, there are two approaches, the mitigation and the adaptation. What I would say is that Ghana has developed its climate change policy, which is being spearheaded by the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. However, we initiated two projects. That is the adaptation project on early warning system. As I mentioned, a community in the Nzima area, in the municipal area of Awim Swami, in the Nzima area, what we did was we provided some social investment to the community, but this is not sustainable. It cannot be sustainable. Now, when you take a coastal shore like the Keta as well, though it's erosion that is eating into it, but activities like sand mining or sand winning is also contributing to it. In case of any sea level rise, it will submerge.
And so one of our challenges in dealing with climate change is, lack of funds.
No, really, it's attitude. Now, what is happening is that because we, African countries, developing countries, are contributing less. I mean, if you calculate the carbon we emit, it's nowhere near developed countries. And so, because we will be much impacted upon, we are asking for financing to help us cope and adapt.
So then we are asking to be compensated for...
No, it's not compensation in that sense. I mean, if you say compensation, it is their duty to make sure that what they have done several years ago. You know, somebody smoked cigarette, you inhaled, you rather have the cancer, and I'm not really impacted on. So this time round, we are setting up to say that no, the climate financing should be robust. It should take care of things like loss and damage. It should look at our adaptation options because we can adapt. They should mitigate. Mitigation means cutting down on energy. So getting into, let's say, green technologies, okay? We have to adapt. We have to cope with it. Coping is short-term, adaptation is long-term. One adaptation option is putting bridges, the sea erosion defense that the government is doing, which is costing us, would cost about $1.4 billion if all the shorelines are supposed to be protected, okay? So basically, this is what the developing countries are asking for, a robust climate financing, which should not, you know what they've done? When they give money, let's say, to an NGO that says, okay, I'm going to do training on climate change, it becomes part of the overseas development assistance to Ghana. Now, we are saying that, no, we don't want that. We want a different financing for climate and a different financing for whatever grant or loans you want to give the government of Ghana.
I'm very much interested in the depletion of the ozone layer. There have been, you know, arguments that in areas where the ozone layer is completely depleted, we could look into safe pollution so that we can then have that safe pollution absorb the carbon.
Come again, I don't.
What I'm saying is that some people have argued that in areas where, you know, the ozone layer is completely depleted, we could consider safe pollution so that we can have that, you know, somehow replicate what the ozone layer does, and so the harmful sun rays will be absorbed by this safe pollution we have created. Okay,
you know something, with the ozone depleting ozone layer, the world was fortunate because, you know, in all this conversation, it boils down to politics and economics. Now, when the ozone was discovered, when there was a hole, and scientists started advocating for remedials, yes, we decided to phase out the chlorofluorocarbons. And the alternative was produced by United States of America, so they quickly signed on to it. And therefore, for now, I can tell you that it's not depleted, okay? It's because countries have, Ghana was one of the first countries in Africa to abide and has successfully implemented the phasing out of ozone-depleting substances. Because the other component of the gas was coming from America. It's an American company. So they quickly signed onto the Montreal Protocol. It's been very difficult for America to sign onto the Kyoto Protocol. That is cutting down on emissions. But fortunately, this week, Obama has put his foot down, used his executive authority to say that by 2050, there are about 30%. 30% of carbon emissions should be cut. And so basically, I think we're making headways. Yes, the ozone is stabilized in a way.
Oh, I see.
But what we're going to look at is, you see, there are some greenhouse gases that also affect ozone. Okay, what is happening is that this is climate changing. Now, there is a certain, for example, when you get into your car and you roll up without your air conditioning, how do you feel? In this heat, how do you feel? This is greenhouse. Terrible. That is the greenhouse effect, okay? And that is what is happening to us because we've eroded a certain layer. Good. Now, it can come back, but if even we stop all the productions today, the scientists are telling us that it takes between 50 or 100 years, if I'm not exaggerating, to get back. But fortunately, if America, one of the nations that gives a lot of emission, the president himself has given a fiat that 30% cut. It means that we are making headways in this negotiation of climate change.
Let's leave the skies and come back to us.
That's right.
And then talk about the fact that whatever we do, sanitation as it is would affect our environment.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
But what I am concerned about is why the EPA has not spoken on any of, you know, since we started the discussions around around sanitation challenge here in the country, I've not heard anything from the EPA.
The Environmental Protection Agency has done a lot. I don't know whether you picked your Joy News 2-3 months ago when we took Accra Metropolitan Assembly to court, and they were told not to spew fecal matter into the Korle Lagoon. Now, sanitation issue, yes, we advise the decentralized assemblies as to do proper engineered landfill sites and dump site. But you know that it's been quite a difficult conversation we've been having with them. EPA has been speaking. We even wrote a release in respect to this court issue. We are in court with the Metropolitan Authority, and therefore we need to respect the judiciary system and not to overstretch ourselves because it is a case in court. But I must tell you that underground we have pushed that you know your station does a beautiful piece on the Pantang Hospital, dead bodies are those, and it's close to a dump site. Yes, we are calling them to close that dump site as well. So we're doing a lot.
Right, so we want these dump sites closed. We want to stop the AMA from dumping.
Not that we want, we've stopped them.
You
have action.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we have stopped them from doing that.
Yes.
But what are some of the alternatives you would propose to the AMA?
You know something? My heart bleeds because, you know, look at this energy crisis we find ourselves in. That thing we call fecal matter. God in his wisdom did not let us go through that process for nothing. It can generate energy, just even to cover the Korle area. Unfortunately, I don't know what the engineers are thinking about. And so, not too long ago, the mayor and some personalities with the president went there to look at how they can set up a plant and I believe that plant would include the generation of energy for that area. Another thing is that someone was telling me even Sweden is looking for fecal matter to power its energy. I don't know whether it's true.
So we should look into the exploitation of fecal matter.
No, if we even start using that as an energy, an alternative energy use, as a biogas for composting, for so many things, I don't think we will even have enough.
There's nothing wrong if we decide that we don't want to use our fecal matter.
No, but
and we can come and
we need it. Look
and
at
export to Sweden.
I don't know. We become very comfortable with the lights off and the lights on. Okay, but this is where we should be thinking of putting all our energies, getting all this waste that we don't know where to take it, and then the fecal matter, we don't know where to take it, and putting it into good use. In Singapore, that's what they use in generating waste in some of the areas. And their landfill site has been engineered in such a way that it will take another 50 years for it to be full. But even as it's being full, it's being used alternatively for something else. Look at fertilizers now. Inorganic fertilizers, what is happening? The number of cases of, allergies that is coming into our lifestyle.
But tell me how the EPA works with the AMA, for instance, if it wants to start up a landfill site, which I believe we don't have one yet.
As I mentioned, we work in consent with them. Their mandate as an assembly is to take charge of their area of operation. But we advise on the environmental side of issues. So, for example, if they want to site a landfill, we will have to look at the engineering. What is going to go into it? Is there going to be any seepage into the groundwater? How is it going to affect the groundwater? How long is it going to take for that landfill site to receive waste into the system?
So say we want to start up a landfill site. How long would all of the testing you have told me about now take?
Well, I mean, it could take what we do is we do environmental impact assessment. We look at the ramifications of everything. If it's bigger, we'll do a strategic environmental assessment. But with this in mind, I don't think it will take more than 2 months for the paperwork. I don't think so.
2 months for the paperwork. Right?
I mean more than that.
The assessment itself on the field.
Everything.
Yeah,
now the building is up to the engineers and whoever will be doing that. It's got nothing to do with the Environmental Protection Agency.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's just when you are engineering this landfill, what are you putting into it? This is what they come. Let me tell you, I think 2004 we developed guidelines to how to manage your waste, and we call them at various points. I remember I went to Takoradi for the training with the assembly in Takoradi for how they should manage their waste. Till date, nobody has brought any template of what we told them to do. So, it's quite disturbing that you want to take people through some of these processes and you realize that they are not very... 2 days ago, I read in the newspapers, Mayor of Accra has sent 30 people to the United States of America to go and learn best practice in landfill site and waste management.
When we could actually
do that here. Several years back, we developed guidelines for them to follow.
The reason I'm hammering on the landfill sites is the fact that, in the face of the, backlash on the AMA for their inability to, get a proper place to dump the waste we generate here in Accra, the AMA had come out to tell us that they had acquired an area and they were looking into, turning into a landfill site. Now, my sources tell me that the time frame the AMA has given is impossible to have a landfill site, especially because of the environmental impact assessment.
Not at all. This is a critical matter. I mean, EPA doesn't waste time on these things. Now, anytime anybody's permit is pending, it means the person has not provided the right information. Okay? So it's got nothing. We do not waste time at all.
You've said it won't take more than 2 months for an assessment for paperwork.
No, it's not just paperwork. They go to test the food. They do community relations. You need to actually ask the people around their interests, whether they agree or not. Unlike that, they may get up one day and go,
and that will take up to 2 months.
Exactly.
Up to 2 months.
That consensus has to be built. Is there any water that we impacted on? Are there any plants or animals that will be impacted? We look at all that.
Then here is the question. Is the EPA working with the AMA for a landfill site?
Well, for this, I wouldn't know. I have to be honest with you. But we work with AMA.
I know you work with them.
They need that permit. If they don't, we'll give them a penalty.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that is why I'm finding out.
So definitely they would have brought it to the Environmental Assessment Department, which I haven't seen.
Which you haven't seen.
Exactly.
The AMA's got questions to answer. Anyway, let's move away from that and talk about our theme for the celebration here in Ghana. Green our environment to save Ghana. The slogan, lovely, raise your voice, grow a tree to green our environment. Yes. We don't have enough trees.
Well, we've been cutting down our trees. The deforestation rate is very, very high.
But I've even heard that we import charcoal. So what do we cut down our trees for?
Well, I believe your medium can do a social studies to find out why we cut down our trees for import, for woodlots, for so many things.
Right.
But the other side, I wouldn't know.
But the truth of the matter is we are losing our forest.
Of course, we are losing. We're losing a lot of forests. We are losing a lot of forests. Yes, this theme is because the Environmental Protection Agency has acquired land at a place called Damfa in the Lankwantana district.
That's supposed to be here in Accra.
Yes, in the Greater Accra region. Now, taking it from a climate change angle in an adaptation sense, it's being situated in this place where it has all the good ambience of what an environmental agency should be.
Okay.
Now, the building is going to have green technologies. We're going to recycle water, harvest rain. We're going to our waste. We're going to use it for so many purposes: composting, biogas, biodigesters. We're going to use materials that is environmentally friendly, eco-labeling and all that. Besides, on that day, normally World Environment Day, we do debates, we give speeches. We are all going to plant 2,000 trees. And this is in solidarity with the small island state. These 2,000 trees will be nurtured by each one of us. So it's not like we're planting and then we're going away. So you can follow up with us in 2 months' time to see how the trees are doing, whether we're doing well or not.
2 months from when?
2 months from tomorrow.
Tomorrow. The tree planting exercise is
starting tomorrow. We've given 1,000 seedlings to Ghana Education Service in Greater Accra here, for them also to start some planting. And so this is our contribution for this World Environment Day, to be very action-oriented and not just to give speeches. So it's just...
but you see, the sad bit is the fact that sometimes after we've planted the seeds or the seedlings, we don't pay any attention.
That's what I'm telling you, that follow us up in 2 months' time, because we are the ones going to nurture it. This is our ground that we're going to move. We're going to move from where we are in some few years' time to go there.
I'm actually more concerned about the 1,000 you have given
to the schools.
Yes.
Oh, they came and requested. And Ghana Education Service requesting for something means they are very serious. It was not an imposition. They wrote a letter, yes, let's give people the benefit of the doubt.
I want us to do that, but after you give it, these are seedlings that cost the EPA money.
Yes.
What checks are you putting in place to make sure that they are not throwing them in the bin? No,
they won't. Greater Accra, we have two offices in the Greater Accra region, excluding the head office. And so Accra West will monitor the schools, the piloted schools, and then Accra East will do that. We are bent in informing the United Nations Framework Convention meetings that this is what Ghana too is doing. So it's going to be part of we have something called national communication, which will report to the nations at meetings on climate change. And Ghana would want to report on some of these things, that this is what we are also doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll just let you have your final words to members of the public as we enter the day tomorrow, World Environment Day. Raise your voice, grow a tree, green the environment. That is our own adopted slogan, but the world slogan is raise your voice and not the sea level.
Yes.
Yes.
Raise your voice doesn't mean you should tune your radio and shout on top of your voices and get the your vans on the street. No. It means that let your voice be heard. Actions, not words. Meaning that tomorrow when you wake up in the morning, remember that the tap you turn on has connection with climate change. And therefore, don't overuse water. As you leave your home, switch off your lights. And do not throw your waste in your neighbor's compound. Put it down for some of these waste people to come and pick it up. You sit in the car and you throw it out, the littering. Please stop once tomorrow. Try and be respectful to the environment, because it's kicking back. And when it kicks back, I bet you, we cannot stand.
We won't like it.
No, we can't even stand it. Look at all these huge problems other countries are having. Environmental Protection Agency wishes everybody a fruitful celebration tomorrow. Schools can enact plays to create awareness. NGOs can do a lot of advocacy, and I believe some of them, I read today's papers, ASU has sent congratulatory messages, and I believe they'll be doing things on their own.
Would look into this. I'm sure when such programs happen, we'll bring it to you live in the comfort of your home.
Yes, but thank you very much, Joy FM.
Joy
News. I'm very sorry.
It's all right.
Yes,
it's all
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Right. You're welcome, Anjali. Anjali Tutua-Mensah is Chief Programs Officer in charge of Public Affairs with the Environmental Protection Agency.